I think you're one of the most playful person that I've ever met. I feel like every time I get together with you, even if it's online, it feels like I'm meeting up with my best friend on the playground. What's happening there? How do you radiate this energy, and where did that come about?
Well, thank you for that, Jesse. That's really kind of you to share. I really think that this comes from my mother. She used to say that every day she chooses to be happy. And I love that she framed it as a choice. And, on any given day, we all have plenty of reasons to be unhappy. But she said, no, I'm choosing today to be happy. I'm kind of this odd hybrid. I'm the daughter of my mother, who's a fun loving stewardess, and my father, who's a rocket scientist. And so it's really that combination of influences that has truly shaped who I am. I didn't realize how infectious my laugh was. I never really thought of myself. Here we go. I never really thought of myself that way. And yet, when I went to one of my high school reunions, I knew this was like 10 years back, I was standing in line for the registration and I started laughing about something. And there was a guy maybe 3, 4, rows back. And I hadn't seen him since high school. And he calls out, "Oh my gosh, she's here somewhere. I hear her now."
That's awesome.
And even when I worked at Lucasfilm and I was in the office, people would walk in and they'd say, "Okay, well, I just want to hang out here because here's a work environment and someone's laughing." For me, I love creating with other people. And so I truly am joyful when I come to those situations. So just naturally, I'm appreciating in the moment the fact that I get to do this. I get to create this latest startup. I get to hang out with these special people. I get to make music with, these other folks, whatever it is. For me, I would also say that I've used humor to be more resilient. When something isn't really going my way, when I'm finding something disappointing, I'm also looking for the silver lining in that. I'm also looking to laugh at it a bit and say, "Oh my, okay, well, here we go," because I would be crying and pulling my hair out if I weren't laughing about this. And even coming here to Fiji was a bit that way. I arrived just having purchased this boutique hotel. I honestly thought I would be here for about 4 months, just, to really spruce it up a bit. And then I would be on my way while the team here managed the experience for our guests. And instead, I was waking up to no water. And no one could tell me why there was no water on the property. Instead, I had every appliance breaking. Instead, I had no generator. And on and on and on. And there were times then that I would wake up in the night like going, "I can't believe you actually did this, Monica. You're not dreaming. This is reality. But even in those moments, Jesse, what I decided to do was to surround myself with amazing people. And the way that we got through that is to laugh at the absurdity of our situation. And we would turn on the dance tunes and we'd get to work. And so this place became like a party of overhaul, like, just absolutely getting it back on track. And I think as a result, our best memories here together come from what was pretty much a bit of a disaster, where Monica had taken one leap too many as that adventurous entrepreneur.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that too, also too in Bangkok, where I'm kind of thrown into a situation where I don't speak the language well, I probably speak the language at a grade 2 level at the moment, right? And it's so easy to kind of get frustrated sometimes by all these things that are just not going right. As much as I like to make a plan every single morning, I'm lucky if that plan comes to fruition 20 or 30%. But it's in those kind of lucky occurrences and those lucky accidents that you have that actually my day ends up being pretty amazing by the end of the day. Right. And I think that's the thing, is you need to cultivate this resilience with whatever kind of comes your way. I think one of the things I've learned from you this past, 18 months is how to deal with that with a bit more playfulness and what the difference is.
One of my favorite stories, Jesse, is, and you have to share it, okay? It makes me laugh every time, is your gingerbread house.
My mother-in-law, right? Like I really wanted to impress. I wanted to make a gingerbread house. And I wasn't just going to make a gingerbread house. I was going to make a gingerbread mansion. And I went out and of course, like in Asia, like no one's heard of a gingerbread house here. Like it's such a weird thing to be asking for. And went maybe like 20 different places. And finally found like one hotel who would sell me like their sort of thing. And I got home and I created it, and it was a complete disaster, kind of fell apart. And I know actually as I was building it, and I can see my mother like kind of like walking in the background, looking with those eyes, being like, I don't think this is like looking very good. So when she went to bed, I just threw out the whole gingerbread house, feeling like a complete failure. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Like I'm like this whole gingerbread house is disaster. Anyways, and once I like let go of this whole process, I was like, oh look, it's not gonna happen. Whatever. I tried. It's fine. Like there'll be next year. I'll just plan ahead, sort of thing. And as soon as I let go of that, I was walking through the shopping center, and sure enough, there's like these small little gingerbread houses, like the cutest little thing. I like it. This is like 10 times better than any idea that I had before. I don't know why I wanted to create this monstrosity of a gingerbread house. This small one right here with all the decorations, everything that I needed was like literally in front of me for like $20 or $30. I'm like, wow, okay. So I bought this kit and I rushed back home, and it took me like 3 or 4 hours to put this thing together, and it looked amazing. It was just so beautiful. And I was so happy. I needed to let it dry for a little bit, so I open up the freezer and I take some stuff out. But as I'm holding it, I take a bag of frozen soup out, and it literally fell, but it almost crushed the whole thing, and like crushing all my dreams, everything I'd worked for. But instead, what it did is it just kind of nicked the little side of the roof. So I was like, oh man, so lucky that it didn't kind of break everything. So I put it in, and it ended up being a huge success, a huge hit. Everyone liked it.
I love the twist in the story of the bone,
yeah, it's a bone broth
broth
soup. Yeah.
falling out of the freezer, right? And how that was
Yeah.
your trainer who had you on bone broth,
true.
and no way would he approve of you consuming a gingerbread
So
house.
I forgot about that. Yeah. And as I was thinking, I was feeling guilty. I'm like, oh, my trainer would not appreciate me building this thing. And as I had this thought in my mind, it's funny that it almost manifested itself into something that it's like, oh no, maybe it's the universe, maybe it's something telling me it's like, oh, it's okay, you're okay with this one, just this one time. Yeah, it's funny when these occurrences happen. You're like, whoa, this is like spooky. This is weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we know, because we both keep that journal, that once you start training yourself to notice, there are so many, you can't even record all of them.